Welcome back to Real Talk with Candy Thompson
and Garrett Gray.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. We have a super great day planned for you today.
For sure.
Yeah, so first of all, thank God. I mean, listen, we got a lot of rain, but now the sun is shining.
It's second spring.
And it's so beautiful. Although I do believe that I always am a firm believer from the time I was a little kid that March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb, right?
Yep.
So I'm like, we're going to get all the rain we need in March, but right now we are super enjoying the sun.
I needed to hold after spring break for this school year because I have a trip planned and I don't want to go. I want to go over the hill. I want to go to Nevada. I don't want to go down south.
Yes.
I'm hoping it did what it usually does. Then spring break will be decently nice. And then all of a sudden the storms just hit right after. And then March is washed until April.
Right. No, it is. And I love it. We definitely need it. That's one thing about Amador County that I love so much is that we have very distinct seasons. And I love that. Like, I love that, like, you know, summer is hot. It's not crazy. I mean, we have a very dry heat, right?
Yeah.
Spring is super beautiful where all the little baby animals and the flowers, that's actually, we got married in spring because it's my favorite. Fall is beautiful. Yeah. It's not like East Coast beautiful, but it is still beautiful. Well, I mean, it's very...
You drive up 88 and tell me it's not beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
no,
so
absolutely. Awesome. And the thing is, we don't all surf, FYI. So not all Californians live super close to the ocean. I mean, Amador County is probably about 2.5 to 3 hours away from the ocean. But it's also about an hour away from the ski slopes. So we're kind of in a really great little location.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in one day, if you really had time for it, you could do riding, ATV riding, surfing, beach, ski, all in one day.
It's the Amador County Triathlon.
Yeah, let's make that happen. That would be cool.
Anyway, so thank you guys for joining us. We're very excited. So we have... big things happening with basketball.
Yeah.
This is exciting. Playoffs.
Real close.
Yeah.
To
Semifinals.
And then they, after, I think Friday, if they went to yesterday, if they won yesterday.
So let's be clear. We film a day before.
Right.
So if they win tonight. Yeah, there's no way we would actually be filming on Wednesday and not know whether they won the night before or not, because we'll be at that game. So
if they win tonight, they go to Arco Golden 1 on Friday, which is super awesome for these boys, I think.
It's so fun. Section championship. And they've done it before. They've been there before. Actually, they have played almost all the way to state before. So very, very exciting. John Gilliam, amazing coach.
Yes.
John Gilliam has actually been voted, I want to say, by the, was it CIF? He was voted coach of the year one year by like first CIF or something like that. I mean, he had a huge statewide award as like Division 5 Coach of the Year. Yeah, so really, really awesome. He's an amazing coach. Great group of boys. So you guys, this is a very young team.
Yeah, they're mostly freshman build.
Yeah, so they have 2 seniors graduating. One of them is Mr. Mitchell McMahon, who is amazing. The dude is like a basketball guru for sure. I mean, he's wanting to go to college to play basketball and just so gifted at it. I mean, he's gifted at every sport that he plays, but basketball is crazy. So he just a couple weeks ago received the 1,000-point ball is what they give. So when you've scored 1,000 points in your career of 4 years, you get a 1,000-point ball. And he's been there for 2.
Yeah, and he's been there for 2, and it was also before even playoffs started.
Yes, it was.
You know?
It was. Yeah, I would imagine at this point, I'll have to check, but Ryan Halverson actually held the highest scoring record for Argonaut High School ever. And when Mitchell was handed the 1,000-point ball, which was at the same time as Luca Mullen got one at the same time a couple weeks ago.
Right.
When Mitchell was handed the ball, at that moment, I think he was about 160 points away from beating the record.
Right.
And that was several games ago. So he's got to be really close. I'm sure we would have heard an announcement by now, but
for sure.
So big things, exciting things. Soccer, Argonaut Soccer went to semifinals. Congratulations. They're an amazing group of girls. So yeah, it's very fun. And so
a lot of hard workers this year.
Yes.
They're putting in the time and they're putting in the effort for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of that, one of my girls, Erin, ran a marathon. A half marathon.
I saw that.
And it was so exciting. Like 13.1 miles. The most she'd ever run prior to that was like 6 or 7 in a row, which is still huge.
Still a
Who the
lot.
heck runs
Yeah.
6 or 7 miles in a row? So yeah,
You'd be surprised.
yeah, no, I would be. I used to run when I was in high school. I used to run in the off season. I'd run 2 miles a day every day just to make sure that I stayed conditioned for basketball.
Right.
I loved running. I never felt compelled to do any kind of a half marathon or anything like that. But so how this came about is that she actually wanted one of her friends to get up on stage. They were out one night. She wanted him to get up on stage with her and sing, and he wouldn't. But he runs marathons. So she spoke his language and said, if you get up on stage with me and sing, I'll run a half marathon. And I'm thinking maybe make those a little more equivalent next time. Yeah. Yeah. She said to me a couple days before it happened, Mom, I really didn't think this one through. Maybe a little equivalent. Like maybe I'll buy you a coffee, right?
Yeah.
Like not run a half marathon. Yeah. So he actually though ran the marathon. So she ran 13.1 miles.
And
He
did
ran
the full
26.2.
26.2.
Yeah. And it was crazy. I was so proud of her. I mean, she did it in 2.24 hours, which is just amazing.
It's just about doing it.
She trained for a month, and
awesome.
in a week and a half of that, she sprained her ankle.
Oh, no.
So I mean, I was really proud of her. That's a big
awesome.
deal. Yeah.
I like her comment when she put it on Facebook. She's like, "We're pretty much Olympians now." It made me laugh.
She said, "I just did it for all my fans." Yeah. No, it's really good, and just something like that though is so life changing. Like when you actually make a commitment like that, and then you follow through. I mean. For me, running was like, I enjoyed running because like it was just a really therapeutic time for me when I would run. But like running in general is difficult, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
like it takes a little bit of energy and
Well,
a little
it's full body
effort.
workout.
It is.
It is
Yeah.
a full body workout. And what I've told people too is like, and I said this when I was in the military, I'm like, listen, you guys don't need to go to the gym or buy gym memberships, waste money.
Right.
The street is free.
Literally.
The road is free. Just go run. And we're not saying a lot, but just do a little bit every day.
It works out
changes.
everything.
Yeah,
Yes.
It changes it.
It does. And I mean, I used to do 2 miles a day, every day. Sometimes I would do them in the morning. Sometimes I would do it at night. But I just loved it. It was good headspace for me.
Yeah.
It was really healthy.
I find
and it kept me in shape.
My ease is about 1.5 miles. If I can get 1.5 miles a day, it's comfortable.
Yeah.
Right? Back in the military, it was 3 miles, right? There was actually it's called the PFT, which is your summer training that you have to be able to pass, right? Physical fitness test, PFT. And you got to do that once a year, but in the beginning. So you have a CFT and a PFT. CFT is winners, combat fitness test, and your PFT is your physical fitness test, but it's in the summer. It's combined of a 3 mile run, a pull-ups and crunches. And that's all you got to do, right? But there's time restraints, right? To max out your score, you got to do 22 pull-ups. You have to get above a first class in order to be competitive in promotions.
Right.
So you have to do 115 crunches in 2 minutes, and you have to do a 3 mile run in under, I think, 22 minutes. So, I mean, that's just what we had to do. So the 1.5 miles was always, when I was training, when doing the PFTs, the 1.5 miles was comfortable because it kept you in that condition to know what it is, and then you had more. But it wasn't like you had to do the 3 miles every day to make sure you knew the 3 miles, right?
I was super proud of myself because in high school I was running a 7-minute mile.
Wow.
I know, and it was only because I ran every day.
Right.
But I, because they time you, they do the mile running, and so that was really fun. I think it was my junior or senior year, but
I think 7 minutes decent. There was some people that I had in the military that were running 5 minutes.
Crazy.
And they were like they were supposed to go to college for track for long distance running. So when they would run the 3 mile, they did it in like 12 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Just turning and burning. It was insane.
Yeah, that is crazy. And so the marathon was in Fort Worth, and there's a gazillion of them a year. I was trying to look up to see if like there was a live feed or something that I could find. There's from now until the end of the year, there's still 35 marathons left in Fort Worth.
She was on.
No. Yeah. And I found no live feed, but I did find, I mean, it's so Fort Worth, it's all, and she said mile 9 sucked because it was uphill, but like there's not a lot of hills in Texas, let's face it. But yeah, she did super awesome. 20,000 people running that day.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Yeah. So congratulations, Aaron.
Yeah.
We're super, super proud of you. Tell fun things happening with you, Mr. Garrett.
Just working. Closed on a house down in Hanford.
Yes.
That was a lot. Congratulations to one of my best buddies, Luke Laval, and his fiance Mary Campos. They're both COs that work down there.
Oh, awesome.
And they just were, it was time, they wanted to start getting that whole settled down motion, and they bought an absolutely beautiful house. So
I love that.
Congratulations to them, first time home buyers. That's awesome for them. And they got at good rates.
Awesome.
So, and I actually put on my Instagram, the rates are coming down.
Oh, awesome.
Looking that up, since December, we're at an all-time low, right?
Wow.
And I think that's just something important to look at, because I just got a message just now. It's already down another 0.07%.
Wow.
So we're at 6.80.
Right,
and
right.
I think that's fabulous. And that's
Pretty
just at a
good.
conventional. I mean,
Yeah.
it's going in a great direction. And I think this year to the next 2 years are going to be something to really pay attention to. But I don't think the market has changed enough yet to where you see the houses prices come up a little bit more.
Right.
I'm seeing houses prices drop just a little bit, and I'm seeing interest rates come down into almost the mid sixes. And I think that's fabulous.
Great. I'm super excited about it.
But funny stories for me. I mean, my kids are just being rambunctious. And yesterday, since it's so great outside, we're just like, go outside and play, right?
Yeah,
Get dirty. Don't even come in until the sun comes down. I'll lock the door.
Yeah, you're cracking.
Because we talked about this 100 times.
Yeah.
These kids, they want to come in and be comfortable, but they just want to tear apart the house. My kids would pick paint off the walls if they could. I walked outside, and I have these 2 little trees, right? I just got home from work. I was going to go do some computer work, and I just looked at these little trees that are literally getting abused.
Oh, gosh.
They were ripping limbs off the trees. And I'm like, can we just leave the trees alone, please?
Oh, my gosh, you're cracking me up. Thank you, Jesus, that I had girls. Amen.
Just tearing apart my backyard. So
you're cracking
that
me
was
up.
funny to watch that. And I sent it to my parents. I was like, look what your grandkids are doing. And my mom texts back, just a normal grandma response. My adorable grandchildren, they're angels. They would never do something like that. I'm like, right, okay.
That's hilarious. No, so fun. I do know it goes by so fast too.
I do.
Like you
I
do.
enjoy it.
It's funny though, because people will say like, oh my gosh, I wish that I had the days where they were tearing the limbs off the trees. No, I don't. I mean, I love them, and I would love to have, I loved going through the whole process, but no, I didn't like that, any
Just
craziness.
destruction.
Yeah, destruction.
I got 2
Thankfully,
kids
my
that are just
girls
about
were not.
destruction.
Yeah, boys are
All they
really
wanna
about
do.
destruction. I mean,
they
it's
wanna
funny because with identical girls, they were very like, I know when Adam and I found out we were having twins, we didn't know if we were having boys or girls yet. We just knew we were having identical twins. And so we had to go to a level 2 ultrasound in order to learn what we were having. And we went over to my sister's house. It was within like a couple days of us learning we were having identical twins. And the people, one of her friends was there, and he had a boy and a girl. His girl was probably maybe 7 or 8, and his son was 4 or 5. And so just sitting there, the daughter was sitting next to me petting my hair, and the son was tearing the whole house up. I think he was slamming Adam on the ground. And I was like, dear God.
They're meant to be rough.
Please,
though.
God,
I think that's how
let me
they
have
learn. I gotta believe that's how they learn. Girls want to be, they want all the information before they are to do it. Boys want to learn by failing, and I think it's also a really great way to learn, but also puts them in some really bad spots.
Oh, it's hilarious. So funny. Well, okay, so I have a very interesting topic. First of all, I wanted to say thank you so much to everyone who participated in our real estate planning guide class.
Oh, yes.
Super awesome. It was
Good.
very, very exciting. I mean, it was just really awesome to hear different people's inputs on kind of what they're looking for out of real estate
it was
planning.
Talking to these people, they had kind of a structure, I would say, but it's just they didn't really understand how they were to manipulate their structure to provide for them in the next steps of their life.
Right. And I mean, it was people with long-term, ideals. It was people who were first-time home buyers. Yeah. And so thank you so much. It was very fun to put all the tools to practice and to be able to utilize. I mean, I think I mentioned that there's an 11-page guide that was sent out to all of the registrants. And then we have an entire 21-page booklet that we went through while they're going through theirs. So it's really, really a comprehensive program. And it's really awesome. I mean, you keep that. You get it, all your notes you get to take while you're going through it. It's just a really awesome goal planning in general.
Oh, I agree.
Especially in February still. We're still at the beginning of the year. So we are doing another one. There was enough interest that we are going to be doing another one. This will be in the middle of March. So we're looking, I can't remember exactly the date.
I think I have it on my calendar. It's mid-March.
Is it March 20th?
I want to
Is that
say,
what
'cause
we
I think
said?
we were doing the 19th, but then we moved it.
Yeah.
Nope, 19th. We have it still on the 19th.
So I think we were moving it to the
Moving it
20th,
to the
though.
20th?
I think there was something else on the 19th. So
We'll get back to you.
yes, we will
But March
confirm
19th,
that.
20th, we're also going to be doing, going out again and giving out flyers and stuff like that. So
Yes,
if you guys aren't a part of the Real Talk crew, all right, we're going to come out and try to promote it that way.
We'll knock on your door and hang a door tag. It'll have all the information on there also. So, and then, so I am, so for those of you that do not know, I'm in school. So I'm finishing my bachelor's degree. That's a really big deal to me. And so I go to Colorado Christian University, which is, it's an online adult course, which is really awesome in the way that they pattern it out. So it's not like, I mean,
And you're going for?
So business degree, and then ultimately my goal is to go to law school.
Right.
So that's really what this is doing. But at the end of the day, I'm going to just take one accomplishment at a time. Yeah. The business degree, just having a bachelor's degree is a big deal to me.
Before you can run. Okay?
Yes. So that's a very exciting thing to me. I did not have the opportunity to do that. I did start going to college when I first graduated. I went to the Southern Oregon State University in Ashland, Oregon, and that was super awesome. I loved that so much. At that time, we've talked about this, internet wasn't really a thing yet.
Right.
And so I would be the first generation to graduate from my family and my siblings.
Wow.
From me, my siblings and above, I would be first generation. And so there wasn't a lot of help. People that have never done that before, they don't know how to fill out the scholarship applications. They don't. So I did the very best that I could, but it was like not very easy. And it was, and I got stuck not being able to pay for it. So I ended up going to community college, just trying to be in school.
And so, do something,
right? Yeah, but gosh, it's so funny. At this stage of my game, going back to school, I want to tell you, like, I used to think that online classes were ridiculous. Like, I could never do that because back in the day, it was ridiculous. But now, they're amazing. I mean, I'm so impressed with how they do online classes. And so how they do these classes instead of, so I was going to the Los Rios Community College and I was taking like 12 units at a time, which meant I was taking about 4 classes at once. So every week I had 4 classes homework. And I mean, working full time and doing the stuff that we did, my alarm still goes off at 8:00 at night to say, start your homework.
Yeah.
And then I pretty much work on it until midnight. That's kind of when I'm able to do that. So the way that Colorado Christian University is set up though, is it's a little bit different. So instead of taking 12 units all consecutively for 16 weeks, your classes are 5 weeks. So you get a 3-credit class that you take for 5 weeks. Then you start another class. So like their semesters are 5 weeks long.
Wow.
So one class for 5 weeks, then one class for 5. It's so awesome. Yeah. It's like, I've been doing it now for a little over a year. This is the second year I just went into, and it's really awesome. I mean, you can double up. You can take more classes than just one if you want to do it faster, but it really
costs more money.
It's going to cost that much anyway. I mean, you have to accomplish all your classes in order to.
It just depends on also because so when I did mine in the military, I did my degree in the military, and I was in Missouri, and I was going to University of Charleston in West Virginia. And so doing that, it was like the same thing. Mine was 8 weeks, but my FAFSA would only cover, so the Marine Corps does, she has CTSD here. She's like, gotta check the lid. My FAFSA only covered 1 class a semester, but also I was doing tuition assistance through the Marine Corps as well, not using my GI Bill at all.
Oh, okay.
So my tuition assistance would cover that 1 class. My FAFSA would say, oh, you're already paid, and then pay me.
Oh, wow.
So it was really like I was getting paid to go to college.
That's cool.
1 class a semester for 8 weeks. I only had to do 2 years to get my bachelor's degree.
Wow.
Because everything that I had done in the Marine Corps gave me an associate's already per credits. So I only had to do 2 years, and I finished the last year when I was recruiting out in San Luis Obispo. So I was able to get it done. But it's like the same kind of thing. It makes it so easy when you're able to jump online 1 day a week to talk in class. The rest of the week you have time to do that assignment or homework, and you turn it in submission Sunday night at midnight, right?
Yep.
I'm not going to lie. My final was written by my sister. I called her. I didn't do anything. I was so busy. I was on recruiting. I was so busy. I had just started. And I don't know if you guys may not know, but it's like when you're on recruiting, you need to make your numbers, whether it's calling, TCing, getting home visits done or area canvassing, right? You had to get these numbers in to get your projected people to potentially go change their life and be a Marine.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm working hard, right? Like I want to be a #1 top producing agent. So I'm out there, I'm doing all this stuff, and I forgot that my final was due that Sunday. I called my sister, no joke, at 9 o'clock on Sunday, the day it was due. I'm like, listen, I have all of this work through the week.
Oh my gosh.
I sent her everything I had. I'm like, they said that this should all go into the final. Your final should technically be done.
Oh my gosh.
I need you to put this together and write it for me. And now she's the writer. She's the smart cookie in the group, okay? Because I don't use Grammarly. I use my sister. It's called Jordan.
Right.
All right?
That's hilarious. Thank you, Jordan.
She checks all this. So I called her at literally 9 o'clock. I'm like, she's like, when is it due? I was like, you're going to hate me. It's due at midnight. She's like, you've got to be kidding me. So I stayed up with her all night while I'm doing all my records of what I did through the day and writing documents out. I'm talking with her to get my wording for it because me and her talk different, right? And how we write.
Yeah.
So, but we did it. I got an A. I got a 90.
Good job, Jordan.
And I passed, and I was like,
That's
okay, cool.
hilarious.
I graduated in December.
Oh my gosh.
So wild.
That's so funny.
To this day, I will keep telling her thank you. Like she really saved me there.
That is so funny. Oh my gosh. Well, so is it his degree? Just saying.
Well, she has her own.
I'm just kidding.
She has
you
her own.
obviously did all the work to get to there. It was one final.
It was one
That's
final.
hilarious.
I just had no time, man. I was burnt. I just didn't know what to do. I hadn't seen my family for like that entire week because I would get home at like 11. I'd wake up at 5. So I'm like, I don't have time to do anything.
No,
so
I hear
it's just
you.
a busy schedule. If you're watching this and you're in the military and you want to go recruiting, just know it's a busy time if you want to be successful. And I think that's also goes for anywhere.
Yeah.
If you want to be successful in what you're doing, you're going to be busy.
That's right. Also, if you're an adult and you want to go back to school, they make it very easy.
Oh, so simple.
It's very doable. These online classes are really amazing. Like, I highly, highly recommend Colorado Christian University. It's so awesome. Like, I mean, they pray for you. Like they incorporate Jesus into every lesson. The class I'm taking right now, it's called Worldviews, and it's so interesting. So it's talking about, so everybody has a worldview. Your worldview is your beliefs and your values that help that basically create your actions and your behaviors. So what values do you have that work out in the world? And so generally those come from ideas that you've got from someone else. They say ideas are like viruses. You've caught them from someone else, right? So you've heard ideas from other people. Yeah. You've adopted them as your own. And then you are now, depending on how much trust and, love, how much you value that person that said it is how much you hold on to that, right? Mm-hmm. So most people's worldviews, you can ask them, or even why they believe what they believe, they don't know. They just know that they've heard it and it made sense. Mm. And isn't that true with so many things? I mean, even politics. Look at all of these people who've never even done any research. Yeah. But like, this is what they're diehard on, right?
90% of statistics is 60% made up. So
isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And I believe you.
Right. That's just how it works.
But I have no bearing, like no basis on why I believe you or not.
And that's the thing though too. Sometimes common sense is not a common virtue, but if it makes sense and you've had some sort of facts put behind it, you're like, okay, I can see how that works out. Right. And I agree. Yeah. I've done the same thing. I think there's a ton of stuff that I've learned. If it wasn't for me actually getting hands-on and failing at it, someone has told me it, and I'm like, well, that actually makes sense. I have I feel like I have very good common sense. Now that could be subject to dispute, right? But listening to things, I'm like, man, I might take that as word. And I've told a ton of stories where I was like, well, that's what I heard, and everybody was like, no, that makes sense because then this happens and this happens, and I'm like, see, I wasn't that wrong then.
Well, and I mean, they've always said, why rewrite the book, right? Yeah. Like, you got to take advice from people who've been there and done that. Right. And so it's very interesting, though. And so the worldviews, looking at like Christianity as a worldview, or, Islamic as a worldview, postmodernization as a worldview, what was the secular is a worldview. I mean, so we're actually studying there's like 8 that we're studying because when you understand different points of view, and keep in mind
ideology almost pretty much, like their like idealism.
Yeah, like where they come from, like how they believe what they believe. Right. And when you understand that, it opens your mind to such a bigger degree to where then you're actually able to accomplish more, but also able to understand more.
Well, I think it also provides a natural way to have conversation with someone too.
Yeah.
And you kind of can get where they're coming from, because if you're talking to someone, you guys have opposing views and you guys can't really like see, the conversation is never going to be that great.
Yeah.
But if you can kind of get the understanding of both where the conversation and the ideology and the mix of where their brain's at, the conversation kind of can be molded and grooved, and you kind of get what's happening there.
Right.
Which makes more genuine conversation.
No, it does for sure. And it's super interesting. I mean, so there's a quiz that they give you, and so it's anybody can take it, and you answer all these questions, and it kind of just says, where's your worldview? Like, where does your worldview derive from? Is it Christianity? Is it Islamic? Is it postmodernization? So the back door, somebody is opening the back door. So we have the alarm that yells back door. So anyway, we have postmodernization. There's just all these different ones. And so what we end up doing is we end up learning, you take this quiz and then it tells you where you fall in that. And so that was interesting. Mine was 96% Christian and 3.7% Islamic.
Wow.
And the only reason it was Islamic is because of one question on, is Allah to the Quran as Jesus is to the Bible? And I was like, well, I mean, if they believe in Allah, then they're considered a Muslim, right? And so then they would believe the Quran. So Allah is like the one, right? Yeah. And if they believe in Jesus, then they're considered a Christian, and then they believe in, and I didn't mean to do that. If they believe in Jesus, they are a Christian. There's no air quotes. And then the Bible is their word, right? And so I was like, well, I mean, I guess that would be true. So I said it was true, so that's why it thinks I have 3.7% Islamic beliefs.
Well, I mean, probably have some idea of where it is, though. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it was very interesting. So anyway, super interesting.
Yeah.
I'll share more as I go through it. It's really, really fascinating, that class. I'm really excited about it. So we are very, very excited for next week. We actually get to interview. So going back to our series on getting to know your supervisors, we get to interview Supervisor District 1 Pat Crew next week.
And
so Jackson
he's
District.
Been in there for a minute.
Yeah, I think since 2016.
Which I think is going to be so great, because Pat Crew is also known around our area really well, right? Before he started doing that, he was in politics in a way, and he was a business owner too. Yeah. So I think he's a well-rounded person to where we can get an idea of how do you start this? What is your plans? Why did you get involved? Right? What helped you grow to where you are now?
I love it.
I'm super excited.
Well, and I'm so excited to even ask, like, what's your favorite accomplishment?
Yeah.
Like, what I just think it's really awesome that, I mean, our entire county is run off of these supervisors, and it's very interesting in where they came from and how they got to where they've got. And so very excited. So stay tuned for next week for Pat Crew, and we will give all updates on all. Next week we will update you also. There's a little bit more information happening on the golf course in Ione. So
we just got some city council meeting. If you guys haven't followed them, they have a Facebook page. They do update that stuff, and it is important to know about the golf course, because if you live around that area, what's happening with that is going to drive your guys' home prices. So you got to stay tuned for next week. So
you're a golf course community.
It's kind of a huge deal, right? And that's a big selling point. And also, I mean, you probably moved, I would say 80% of people that moved there was because of the golf course. Yeah. So stay tuned for that next week. We're going to get more information and divulge that stuff. Have a happy week. Stay motivated.
Happy week. Happy March. Thanks, you guys. We just want to give you a What to Do Wednesday disclaimer. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only. All opinions expressed are those of the host and guests and do not reflect the official stance of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services or Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Divine Properties or any affiliated entities. This podcast does not constitute legal, financial, or real estate advice, and listeners are encouraged to consult with qualified professionals regarding their specific needs. While we strive to provide accurate information, we make no guarantees regarding the completeness or reliability of any information discussed. We are not responsible for any actions taken by listeners based on the content of this podcast. Additionally, topics covered in the podcast are based on the host experience and opinions and may not apply to all situations. Listeners are reminded that real estate laws and regulations may vary by location, and information may become outdated over time. By listening to this podcast, you agree to release the host, guests, and any associated entities from any liability related to the topics discussed.